Welcome to Homeworkology. As a community, we're making homework each and every day.
Hello, Vernon.
Hi, Sean. How are you?
How are you? I just want to thank you for being willing to accommodate us and join our community at Homeworkology. Vernon Shanker, I understand that you are currently located in Boston, Massachusetts.
That's right.
So we are very, very appreciative of this time that you share with our Homeworkology community, because we're really just exploring all aspects of working and now under very different circumstances than we've historically experienced. And so every voice matters, every experience matters. And so thank you for sharing yours. So you're in Boston currently, and what do you do there?
So I'm an investment analyst at Mass General Brigham. Mass General is a hospital system out here that oversees 14 hospitals in the New England area. And so they have a long-term pool of capital and a retirement plan for all the doctors and nurses. So our office is responsible for investing that to, ensure everyone's retirements are well invested, and also for the long-term growth of the hospital. If they ever need to, build a new building or expand one of their current ones, things like that, we help finance that through our investments.
So that's interesting, because sometimes, the financial sector, it gets kind of a bad name in the public eye. And yet when we think about all of the good things that you all do and all of the things that you support in our lives, so that we can count on a retirement, so that endowments and those types of things go forward, really it's essential to all of our well-being. How long have you been with that organization?
I've been here for just over a year.
Okay. Have you just recently moved to the Boston area as well?
Right. I had actually never been to Boston before moving here from Texas. So I kind of landed, didn't have a place to stay or anything, and just figured things out as I went.
Okay. And so you're experiencing like the Boston weather as well for the winter, the Boston winter Coming from Texas, that's like a huge difference.
Exactly. Yeah. The winter was definitely something I'm not used to, but I'll take summer here over summer in Texas any day. So
see, now that's a glass that's more than half full. I love that attitude. Yeah. So speaking of attitudes, tell me how you feel about your current work schedule. Is it completely remote, or is it hybrid, or what are you guys doing over there?
So we're doing hybrid. I think, the pandemic had obviously changed things up so much, but in a good way in a lot of cases. There's a lot of travel involved with this job, and being able to minimize that because a lot of meetings can just take place over Zoom now. It allows for more frequent communication as well. So I think that's one of the pros. So in our hybrid schedule, we're 3 days in the office, 2 days out. We do Tuesdays and Wednesdays are mandatory in the office, because it is important to have that, in-person touch with as many people as possible.
Right.
And that third day is is a flex day, is what we call it. And so people, sometimes they'll choose to do it on Monday so they can knock out their 3 in-person days at the beginning of the week, or they'll chunk it, Tuesday through Thursday. So just kind of depends on your preferences.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I hear that you really appreciate the flexibility that the hybrid schedule gives you, but I also heard that you understand why the collaborative enhancement of being in person is necessary as well. So you kind of see this as a balanced way of now managing our work weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, personally, my prior job, I was in person the entire time, even through COVID. We were considered essential service workers because we were helping support community banks and things like that. So we went to the office every day, and I'm also just a more social person, I guess. So I needed kind of that in-person contact. But on the flip side, I think the flexibility has been great because, I personally don't have a family or anything, but for a lot of the senior team, they're able to work from home and hang out with their kids and avoid a long commute. And I think a lot of that just adds more time to actually working during the day and spending with your family rather than just being on a train for like 2 hours every day.
So I want to ask you a question, okay, because you brought something up that is very interesting to me. Because, there are like different camps on this, work from home or, come into the office full time. And there's, everybody in between. But I have heard people say that they do not believe, especially in like upper executive management, that they do not believe that people are working as hard when they're working from home. And for just the reasons that you said, because they're hanging out with their kids, because they're running errands, because they're there. And they are just like, we're just not getting the same level of efficiency that we were when people were coming in. But then again, people were sitting in traffic for 2.5 hours. So.
Yeah, I think it's a really nuanced situation, right? Like our office, for example, provided us with 2 monitors so that our workstation at home is essentially identical to what we have in the office. I think if some exec somewhere thinks that their employee is not as productive at home, maybe they think that employee, has just got one laptop and has the TV on in the background, but I don't think that's the case for anyone here. And I really do think the commute is such a big part because you're waking up so much earlier, trying to knock out emails or something on a train is just nowhere near as efficient as being at a computer, whether you're at your laptop at home or here in the office. I really just think it depends on each person.
Yeah, I agree. And I would even, I have owned or run or managed people probably now for the last, 16 years, owned my own business or managed a team. And I feel like people whose character lends them to slacking, there's no amount of monitoring, whether it's in person or not, that's going to make a slacker not try to figure out ways to slack. And what you really need to do is just call those people from your team and make sure that you're working with honorable people. And then that's not really the problem that you'll have. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, knowing your team and then your team knowing themselves. Like I am an outlier in our office because I come in essentially every day that I'm in town. Just because my work from home setup is, my desk is much smaller, my chair's not great. I'll get distracted by like some snacks in the kitchen for 30 minutes. And so I come into the office, even if I'm the only one here, it's just a great place where I know that, this is where I work, home is where I hang out and relax. And I know that distinction and separation just works better for me.
Goodness, so you just set up a great segue because Homeworkology is a spinoff of what we do at Homeworks, where we provide physical equipment and also habits and support so that people's work lives are enhanced no matter where they're working, whether they're working in small groups or in teams or whether they're working from home. There are some things that are absolutely essential to a homework setup that really makes a difference. And the fact that you just said that you work from a horrible chair at home just sent shivers through me. I'm like, oh no, we can't. So when this is over, we need to talk, my friend, because we can't have you sitting in a chair that is not ergonomically supporting you. But a lot of companies, and one of the reasons that we started Homeworks is because through that very difficult time, actually even prior to that, we had companies that were forward thinking, and through their health and safety programs and their HR programs, they were making sure that any associates or team members that they had were working from home were receiving the proper equipment. So whether they were in the office or whether they were working from a home office or home situation, they would have the monitor arms, they would have the ergonomic chairs, they would have whatever they needed to work in a healthy manner. And so that their body wasn't overly fatigued or overly taxed. Mm-hmm. Then COVID happened. And in that space, we realized that as important as those tools are, there are a lot of other things about our work-life interaction that people sort of took for granted because we've been doing it the same way for so long. And when I hear you as a single person, it makes me wonder, moving to a new town, how are you finding a new community? How are you finding dating, socializing, all of that, when so much of what, at least when I was single and young, so much of my life revolved around the people I did happy hour with, the people I hung out with, like that whole, my work friends became my life friends, and some of them I'm still friends with to this day. So how do you guys make up for that in that space?
Yeah, it's a great question, one that I'm probably still trying to figure out. I'm really lucky in that the rest of the analyst team here is just a bunch of guys also my age. So we are able to, hang out outside of work because we generally have like similar interests and all that kind of stuff. I'm not the biggest app or social media user, but what I did was, when I knew I was moving to Boston, I posted on my Instagram and just said, I'm moving to Boston. If anybody could connect me to somebody that they know so I could, make some friends, that would be great. And that was a good way, I think, to kind of combine the online aspect with meeting people in person. So those are some of the things that I did. I also joined a nonprofit organization on their fundraising committee for their annual gala. And so that's just another thing to,
Well, that was smart. That was smart. Because you touched all the buckets with that. You just warmed my heart because you did thing for the nonprofit and volunteering your time. You're bound to meet some amazing people who are like-minded in that same space. So that was a smart move right there.
Yeah, thanks. No, it's been great. I think for anybody that's moving to a city that they've never been to and don't really have a community in, I think there's whatever you might be interested in. One of my coworkers is a rock climber, and so he found a rock climbing gym that he frequents every once in a while, and then you make gym friends. So there's always something. I had done some nonprofit stuff back when I lived in Dallas, so that's something that I figured I could continue to do, and definitely have met some great people through that.
Yes. One day you'll be a board member of something, I'm sure. But I do love how proactive, because, when this all first happened in 2020, people were really suffering from feelings of isolation and just not understanding, how to put back together a life. In some cases, if people had families at home and whatnot, they kind of had a ready mixed community right there. Maybe they had too much community on some days. But for a lot of single people and a lot of the young women that I work with, they really suffered in that first year or two. And then you saw people start to come together, figure it out, come up with healthy plans, because that was the other thing. A lot of people from a mental health perspective sort of suffered a little bit, just trying to figure out how to navigate these new parameters of work and isolation and all of that. But you do see us now coming out of it, and you see that we're not going to go back. We're not going to be the same. Hopefully we'll be stronger and improved. Do you see that with your friends and colleagues?
Definitely. I think, a lot of the meetings that we go to are being held for the first time in person since pre-COVID. And you can just tell that there's a little bit of a buzz in the room, some excitement. Everybody's getting back to seeing people and shaking hands with folks that they haven't seen for a few years.
Yes.
So I completely agree. I think, hopefully we're never put into another pandemic type scenario again. But even if it does happen, I think that there will be a conscious effort made to think about how to get as much, interaction in person as possible, and not just kind of everybody gets locked up for a while.
Wow. Well, Vernon, I thank you. First of all, this conversation has been a pleasure, and I love the nuanced approach that you kind of take into, really navigating all of this and really coming out of it with a more positive outlook. I appreciate that. My sister lives in Boston. I think I mentioned that. So now you have another connection. I'm going to make sure that after we get off, I put the two of you in touch because she has a huge network of friends over there at MIT. And lastly, we're going to talk about a chair, my friend, because we can't, you're too young to put your back in jeopardy so early. So we're going to figure that out for you as well. But thank you so much for taking the time out to speak with us at Homeworkology. We appreciate you very much, Vernon. Take care.
Thanks so much. Nice to meet you. Take care.
Absolutely. Take care.